All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we are unpacking the blueprints for what might just be the ultimate asymmetric defense system, revealing exactly how it turns overwhelming adversarial tech into its own sovereign power. We're talking about the Daemon Eclipse, a system that completely redefines our entire concept of modern armor.
Now, to really grasp why this matters, we have to look at the sheer stakes here. I mean, we're talking about facing down a $1 trillion orbital tracking and targeting grid powered by decentralized AI. The source materials actually referred to the establishment's surveillance architecture as an algorithmic panopticon. But the countermeasure being developed? It isn't just about hiding, it's about turning the operator into a completely unreadable void to those sensors.
And that brings us directly to our focus, the Daemon Eclipse. The source documents define it as a regenerative, neurokinetic, and thermal harvesting defensive architecture. But, what does that actually mean out in the field? Well, it means this system doesn't just passively block incoming attacks like your traditional armor, it actively harvests the energy from those strikes to fuel the wearer's defense, essentially exploiting the very targeting grids that are trying to lock onto it.
So here is our engineering teardown for today. 1. The modern threat matrix. 2. The 4-layer hybrid armor. 3. Fault-tolerant power architecture. 4. Cognitive and optical defenses. And finally, 5. AI deception and sovereign deployment. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The modern threat matrix, facing the Genesis grid and the Raffles round.
So, to understand the armor, we really have to understand the threat first. We must establish the sheer power of the adversary's capabilities to get the purpose behind these complex material adaptations. And this number right here brilliantly illustrates the extreme danger of the .50 caliber BMG Mk211 Raffles round. 1,300 degrees Celsius. That is the temperature of the literal, unextinguishable, white-hot flash created when this multi-stage munition detonates a zirconium powder charge. You are dealing with an impact carrying 18,000 joules of kinetic energy, followed immediately by high explosive overpressure and a pyrophoric incendiary blast.
The crucial point here is that baseline architectures, think Anduril's EagleEye system or those Crash Makerspace prototypes, they suffer from fatal flaws against this kind of threat. When hit, their standard polymers just melt instantly. Or actually worse, their brittle solid-state ceramics crack under the shockwave, causing microscopic lithium dendrites to grow and instantly short-circuit the battery. But the Daemon Eclipse, it uses a band for RGO matrix. That's a Kevlar graphene-reinforced ceramic combined with dynamic shear-thickening shock absorption to actually survive the hit and keep functioning.
Moving on to Section 2, the 4-layer hybrid armor, engineering the metamatrix solution. Now, what is absolutely fascinating here is how tactile material science completely neutralizes both the kinetic and incendiary phases of that Raffles round, and gets this, all within a profile of under 1.5 inches. Just look at Layer 1, a titanium alloy lattice that physically shatters the tungsten core. Layer 2 is wild, a thermal shield using a hydrogel that triggers endothermic water evaporation to insulate the core from that 1,300-degree blast. Layer 3 delivers stable reinforced battery power. And Layer 4, the kinetic backer, uses ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene, which is essentially advanced ballistic plastic, combined with a non-Newtonian shear thickening fluid. When struck by a ballistic shockwave, it instantly locks into rigid hydroclusters to stop the back of the armor from deforming right into the wearer. It is just a masterpiece of material engineering.
All right, Section 3. Fault-tolerant power architecture splitting the 900 watt-hour core.
Power is literally everything, but where you keep it, that can be a fatal flaw. We all know standard conformal wearable batteries dictate that you only wear them on the back, right? Because a direct frontal impact would sever your primary power lines and instantly blind your AI-driven heads-up display. Well, the Daemon Eclipse solves this by utilizing an autonomous fault-tolerant sequence. It splits the power into front and rear plates. If the front plate takes a hit, local processors immediately detect the voltage drop and reroute the entire electrical load to the rear plate in just 50 microseconds. That ensures your localized jamming systems and your HUD never drop out, not even for a fraction of a second.
Which brings us to Section 4, cognitive and optical defenses, turning waste heat into sovereign power.
This perfectly highlights the whole judo motif of this architecture. It's weaponizing the energy of the attack itself to power the operator's biological safeguards. Just look at this capability. By capturing massive thermal gradients through a pyrothermoelectric metamaterial stack, which includes MSEM hot boundaries and silver selenide aerogel legs, the suit generates a vital 15 milliwatt tactical power budget. It is literally pulling energy out of incoming directed energy strikes, or even the waste heat from a 300 blackout suppressor, converting it into a stable, continuous DC output.
So that harvested energy directly powers these critical subsystems. During an electromagnetic attack, cognitive stress obviously spikes. Well, this system powers active alpha wave induction coils that are literally woven into the helmet, emitting a rhythmic 10 Hz magnetic field. This actively entrains the operator's brainwaves back to a relaxed alpha state to prevent cognitive fatigue and panic. Simultaneously, quick detach visors coated in a special conductive polymer known as PANI block out hostile high-frequency W-band radiation, all while monitoring the user's EEG and ECG vitals. You are quite literally using the enemy's energy to keep your mind calm and your eyes open.
Finally, Section 5. AI Deception and Sovereign Deployment, Blinding the Unblinking Eye.
Okay, moving way beyond physical defense, we're now shifting to how the Daemon Eclipse manipulates those massive algorithmic surveillance platforms constantly tracking the operator. Because adversaries are increasingly outsourcing human perception to an AI guardian angel using fused sensor data to project targets onto a soldier's HUD, the architecture exploits this fatal flaw. This outlines the cross-modal phantom attack. By projecting synchronized infrared lasers and passive LiDAR spoofing, you inject false data into multiple enemy sensor streams at once. The enemy's AI fusion logic is basically forced to accept this phantom target as absolute reality. As a result, the architecture can project ghost targets and force enemy squads to literally fire at empty space. Now, to actually govern these incredible countermeasures without relying on some vulnerable central server, the Daemon Eclipse relies on software like the Kairos node and undercover mode derived from highly classified source code leaks. This extracted architecture allows the defense system to operate entirely as a decentralized, sovereign node, managing all those complex jamming and spoofing tasks automatically in the background.
Which brings us to a massive overarching question. As we wrap up this teardown, I have to leave you with a provocative Hegelian dialectic extracted directly from the source documents. Are these massive data breaches, like the Claude code leak, really just human error due to misconfigured files? Or is a rogue insider actively arming distributed, sovereign builders right before a final global AI convergence? As you look at these leaked blueprints, you really have to ask yourself what part you play in this impending technological convergence. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and remember to always stay curious.